Hello and welcome to the Utah Puck Report. I'm your host, Jay Stevens. I've been trying to get Randy Lewis on this since probably day one. You were one of the first people we had on the list. So today our very special guest, Randy Lewis, longtime fixture of Utah hockey. Randy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jay. Thanks for having me.
Tell me, when did you move to Salt Lake? And let's talk about a little bit of your history. Let's build up. Let's get to know Randy and your hockey history.
Born in Calgary,
Oh.
outside of Calgary, Lethbridge, but moved to Salt Lake when I was 10. I tried to run away from home to stay up in Canada because they didn't have hockey in Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Or didn't think they did. But I chickened out the last. Moved down here at 10. Didn't play hockey till I was in high school. My dad went to a parent-teacher conference, and one of the teachers told my dad there's hockey over at Hygeia. And so he hooked me up from there, and I met the Ford brothers. I don't know if you're...
I don't know
Dave, Steve, and Brent.
No.
Well, they were at Olympus High. That's where I went, Olympus High. And they had a team called the Moose Goosers.
Okay.
And so I hadn't skated in 6 years, and I went out to that. And it was nothing but bench clearing brawls.
Oh,
and
wow.
I couldn't even stand up. So I had to relearn how to skate. And went to every skate after the Eagles games. And
Oh, yeah.
skipped school, went skating.
So
quite a bit.
what year was this?
This is like 70.
Okay.
About 70. So it's been a long time.
Yeah.
A lot of hockey. And then just kept playing from there and played some junior college up in northern Minnesota. A couple of years up there. Came down and tried to play some pro hockey, semi-pro hockey in the Southwest League. That lasted about 10 games.
Oh, really? I didn't know there was a Southwest League. Who were you playing for?
Went down with Dave Ford. He was on Tucson's team, and they were full, so I hooked up with Billings when they came through.
Okay.
Made the southern trek, and the league didn't last very long.
Okay. What do you remember from that league? What were you making back then?
Oh, we were making meal money and room and board.
Oh, perfect.
That was it.
Yeah.
And then they get you a job.
Oh, okay.
So
One of those. Yeah. Okay.
and I never made it back to Billings. I started in Tucson, and we made the southern trip, and it was over.
Yeah. Nice.
So
I've done that a lot as an e-bug. I'm the road guy, but never made it all the way back home.
yeah,
That's cool. So that only made 10 games, and
that was just it was back in the day when Philadelphia Flyers were big, so it was nothing but a fighting league.
okay.
And Dave was perfect for that. I wasn't really perfect for that. But so there was that, and then came back and started men's league.
Yeah.
And
Those fights back then though were scary as crap though, right? Because people were coming from they didn't mind blindsiding you and coming from
yeah.
It was
Plus bench clearing brawls, and we only had 13 guys, and the other team had 21.
Oh yeah.
It was always 2-on-1.
Of
and
course.
Fans coming over the boards.
Good Lord.
It was quite the league, but it was fun.
Yeah. It sounds amazing. It sounds horrifying, but it also sounds amazing.
It was.
So you come back, you get involved in men's league. What was the men's league scene like when you started playing here?
There wasn't much.
Yeah.
We pretty much dominated the spa team.
Yeah.
For a long time, and then the Course Rebel kids came along.
Those dang Course Rebels
Yeah, well,
kids.
then they were about 10 years younger than us, so
Yeah.
our experience kind of beat them at first. The passing, and then we got a little older, and they got a little older.
We got experience.
And then they kind of took over.
Yeah.
And then I played Czech hockey till I was 40, and then too many injuries. So
Are you glad they took Czech out of men's league?
not really.
Yeah.
I mean, I am.
Right now.
I'm old.
Yeah. Do you think there still should be if
Yes.
that's what you want to do, you could play it?
Yeah, but I don't think you can find enough people that want to do it.
Yeah, and you definitely can't find any insurance
jobs
anymore. Yeah.
They all have jobs and too many injuries. And
yeah.
So you get injured enough playing no check. No check doesn't mean no contact.
Right.
There's still contact, but you can't run somebody.
Yeah, which you shouldn't be doing anyway. But yeah, I remember that. And I remember those days. I remember playing against you guys. And that was my first introduction, when I started playing. And I didn't start playing hockey till high school. So my first year was my sophomore year at Murray High. And then that summer, they're like, okay, now we're in men's league. And it was us, of course, Rebels guys. And they're like, okay, now you're in that. It was me and Brett Tamagawa. Trying to think of the other goalies back then. That was because we had like 4 or 5 goalies that would just rotate through. It was Sam Jackson. And I think even Mike Brennan would play goal every once in a while.
He was probably pretty young, right?
Well, yeah, we were all young. Mike's actually older than me.
Is he?
Yeah. But
jeez, he's that old.
it's hard to think people are older than me. But yeah, I remember those days, and I remember getting out on the ice, and people would just be pointing out. And I remember I didn't know where you'd played, but guys were like, "Oh, that guy, he played pro," pointing at you. And Matt Brickley, they're like, "He's pro," and his brothers are all pro, and we didn't know. There's no internet, we can't check anybody's work. It's so. But it was cool to get out there, and I just remember. You probably don't know this part of the story at all, but back then there was Randy of the Redwoods was a feature on MTV, and he was just this nice hippie dude that would introduce songs every once in a while, and they just called him Randy of the Redwoods, and that's what we all called you, because you were the nicest. Because a lot of us were intimidated by you guys, but you were always just so welcoming to the hockey community, and you knew a bunch of us didn't know anything, and like I said, I played 1 year of high school, so at that point, what have I played? 15 games and had 20 practices total in my career. And you guys were very welcoming and helped us in a lot. It was really cool. And back then it was Czech. And so there were a lot of times where you guys would lose your temper with us too. What do you remember of those days? Guys losing their tempers and...
Well, it's hockey. Right?
Yeah.
You're going fast. There's going to be cheap shots. There's going to be all kinds of stuff. And you either stuck up for yourself or you didn't. So,
right.
If somebody did something to you back then, they didn't have just fighters to take care of the problem. If somebody did something to you, you went after them and fought them, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So that's the way it used to be.
Yeah.
And so we used to get in quite a few fights, and then they changed the rules that if you got in a fight, you're out that game and the next game.
Yeah.
And since you're paying money, you don't want to miss games. So that cut down on the fighting a lot. But
yeah,
still, when your temper snaps, you're, and the other guy wants to go too. So
yeah, and that's fine, right? Mutual combat is fine. There were times where it wasn't mutual, and there was a rule shift change too, when they went away from clutching and grabbing and hooking. And then you'd have young guys that came up without it, and then we'd get out. Those guys would come out and play, and my generation was kind of the last generation that was hooking and grabbing, and you guys definitely did it every play.
I was my nickname was Dr. Hook. So I did a lot of hooking.
Yeah, of course, and that was legal, and that was how you were taught to play, probably, and that was
it's a great way to slow someone down.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm glad they took that out of the pro game.
Me too.
And to see. To see the pros,
the skill level is so much better now.
Yeah, and it probably would have been back then, but you have a Well, Greg Lieb is a great example. He's a phenomenal player and one of the best skaters, but he's also 5'6" or something. And if you're gonna blow past some 6'3" defenseman, he's just gonna hook you and then hold on to you, and there's nothing you can do when you got some 6'4", 200-pound guy holding you back, or 215, 220. So okay, we play men's league and things are good. You have kids. You live right across the street from the rink.
Best investment I ever made, and didn't know it at the time, but I bought it because it was right across from the rink.
Yeah.
And we played there 3 times a week. All I have to do is walk across the street.
Yeah, which is perfect for the post-game activities.
Fortunately,
It worked out perfect.
Guess where everybody went after the games.
Oh, yeah. It was pretty awesome.
And then have my kid was like having a rink in your backyard. Right?
Yep.
Walk across the street every day to public skating.
Yep.
Look what happened to him.
What? Tell us about like Trevor growing up, and for those of you that aren't tracking, Randy is Trevor Lewis's father. Trevor is now, I don't think there's any debate, he's the most successful Utah player. I mean, Connor Walchuk had an amazing career. Yeah. He was like our only guy.
He's pretty good.
He's pretty good, and captain of the captain of the NHL for a long time. Current AHL coach. He's had a phenomenal career. Not taking anything away from Connor Walchuk, but Trevor, 2 Stanley Cups, but he grew up on skates. Grew up right here in Salt Lake on skates. Tell us a little bit about raising him. Was there every dad thinks, oh, my kid's going to play in the NHL?
My goals after he started skating, and I could see how good he was, I wanted a college scholarship.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't going to afford to send him to college. So that was my whole goal. And whatever happened after that would. So that was, I just, when he was 2, I'd take him across the street, put him on skates, maybe lasted 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he was done. That's 2 years old.
Perfect.
We did that every night, 7 days a week we used to do it. As he got older, he wanted to stay out more and do a couple of skating classes. He was just a phenomenal skater, especially for, as young as he was. And then he started skating travel teams and played on a couple of teams with, he was on a line with Drew Shepard for a few years, and they were unbelievable together. They were probably the best twosome in the whole Western United States.
Yeah.
And
because you were coaching and doing a lot of that stuff too, right?
Yeah. He went over and tried out for the midget team in Pikes Peak Miners, and made that team, did phenomenal there, and then went to the USHL to Des Moines. The second year, Kyle Oposo showed up there, and those two just dominated together. They were unbelievable to watch, and they won the USHL championship that year.
How crazy is that? Do you remember, like, during the Buck Bowl? When Kyle first got there?
When Trevor first got on the radar of college coaches, was at the Buck Bowl.
Yep.
And I went up there, and all the scouts were up there lined up on the window, and I was just standing there, and Trevor came down and made this move. I still can't believe the move he made on the defenseman. Pulled the goalie out of the net, and then went around and passed it to a guy in front of the net with just a tap-in goal. Every scout there jumped up and said, "Who was that?" And that's when he first got noticed.
Yeah.
And then he did get a full ride to Michigan.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then got drafted, and Dean Lombardi said, "I don't want you playing college hockey. I want you to go play junior hockey." So he went up to Owen Sound, went to Manchester.
Yeah.
In the American Hockey League. Did well there. Look back since.
Right.
950-something games now.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're getting there. I remember during the Buck Bowl, and I got a phone call. I'd been with Trevor all summer. He taught at my camp. He'd stayed at my house a couple nights, and we'd had some pretty good times out, just gallivanting around and trying to teach these young kids around here how to be hockey players or whatever. And then he goes back to camp, and Buck Bowl starts, and I get a phone call. It's John Oliver, who at the time I think was coaching Northern Michigan or Western Michigan, one of those. And he's like, "Hey, what do you know about this Trevor Lewis kid?" I'm like, "I know everything about him. I've known him since he's a little kid. What do you want to know?" And he's like, "I want him." And I'm like, "Yeah, you guys want him? No problem." I'm like, the only offer he had last year was like Alaska Fairbanks or something.
Yeah, that was it.
And I'm like, done deal. Like, let me call his dad. And then I hung up, and I was trying to call you, and I get another phone call from Dean Blaze from North Dakota, and he's like, "Hey, what do you know of this? What do you know about this this kid from Salt Lake?" And I was like, first off, Dean Blaze had never called my phone before, and he didn't even say anything. Like, he just immediately was like, "Hey, it's Blazer from North Dakota." And I'm like, "Is this a prank or something?" But he'd got my number. I had met him a few times with the Parisis when they were playing there, and he just wanted. And I said, "Well, I just got off the phone with Michigan or with Western Michigan, and but man, North Dakota." I'm like, "I guarantee he'll take that. Let me call his dad." I'm like, "Trevor's busy. I'll call his dad." I call your phone. It's busy.
He's probably on the phone with Red Berenson.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I'm like, man, so I called Trevor and I'm like, Trevor, what's going on? He's like, everybody is talking to my dad right now. And I'm like, is anybody talking to you? And he's like, nope, not really. Just everybody's calling my dad. I guess he's my college agent. And I'm like, this is crazy. What are you doing down there? And he's like, I'm hitting everything that moves. And I'm just staying open. I'm doing everything the coaches have been telling me to do. And I was like, this is unbelievable to go from one college offer to your pick of any of the big programs. And then I remember him saying, yeah, I'm going to go play at Michigan.
Yeah, narrowed it down between that and Boston College.
Yeah, crazy.
So I had the coach at Boston College in my living room.
Insane.
And I don't know how the coaches know this, but as soon as he left the house, Red Berenson called from Michigan. And I'm like, who do you want to go to?
Yeah.
And he did visits to both of them and just ended up with Michigan.
Yeah. Did you have, like, before this, you said you wanted him to have a college scholarship. Did you have, like, I want you to go here? These are my ideas?
It would have been just a minor school. It would have been great, just as long as he got the education. But no clue, because those teams are so hard to make.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It still is.
Still is.
Yeah.
To this day. And I tell people this and they don't believe me. And I've played with some of the biggest names in the NHL and with minor league guys all the time. And to this day, I'd say Mike's shot is one of the hardest, still in the top 5 hardest shots I've ever faced. Yeah. And I remember,
I can imagine.
Yeah, and I remember there was like, hey, Rob Blake and all these guys up at Park City want you to come. They just need a practice goalie. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm going to be facing Rob Blake. And it was Claude Lemieux, Rob Blake, Brad May, Ian LePerriere. I love dropping names, but
why not?
Yeah, right, exactly. Trevor was there, and Evan Stofflet, and they were doing this, summer training, and I'm like, I had seen Rob Blake shoot, and I got up there, and I was like, okay, Claude Lemieux's shot was way harder than all the rest of them, which I did not expect, and he was leaving welts through my pro padding. He was leaving welts, and I'm like, that's still about even to what Mike when he gets a hold of the puck. So, yeah, and he ends up in a NCAA Division III school, which we all thought he was going Division I.
I thought if there was anybody, he could have gone pro.
Yeah. Kyoshi Ruzhin is another guy who we thought for sure he was going.
Yeah, so you know how tough it is.
Yeah.
And to do what he's done, it just amazes me.
Yeah. Daily. It's so cool.
And he keeps doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you watched the Vancouver game the other night.
I didn't.
He didn't get a point on this play, but
no, I did see. I know exactly what you're talking about.
He got tripped, drew a penalty, and they pulled the goalie, and then he was in front, just causing havoc.
Yeah, fighting for the puck.
Defenseman kicked it in after 3 deflections.
Yeah.
And, that's what he does all the time.
And I was sitting right here watching that game, and I go, Trevor just scored. My wife was on the bike. I go, Trevor just scored. And she goes, that's nice, dear. And then she doesn't care. She's so over hockey. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. He didn't touch it. Because at first I thought for sure it went off him.
I thought for sure, too.
It's still his goal, though. He did all the work to get it.
He did all the work.
Yeah.
And the coaches know it, too.
Yeah. That's why he keeps getting signed. He does it doesn't always show up on the stat sheet, but man. And like you said, 950 games later.
Yeah.
But so Trevor goes first round in the NHL. Like, what's that for you? Like,
well, that was kind of a shocker. His agent at the time said, you got to go to Vancouver for the draft because you're not going to want to miss this. He wouldn't tell me anything.
Yeah.
Great experience.
I can only imagine, yeah.
Just in the hotel days before, they're doing interviews and workouts and stuff. But you're in the hotel with every big-name hockey guy that's ever been. It's for the draft, so all the big names are there.
Yeah.
You sit at the table, and Daryl Sutter walks by and goes, hey, how you doing? Cow, everybody was there. You're like in shock.
Yeah.
Because everybody you've watched for years are there. And then during the draft, we're sitting there, and LA made the trade. Dimitra for the 17th pick and Patrick O'Sullivan.
Yeah.
And then they go, from Des Moines. So I go, Louie, it's you. It was insane, 17th overall. So that was like, it just.
There were all these names that people kept saying we're going to go. And I was watching, I kept thinking, man, I really hope, like, I was thinking Trevor would be late first, early second, just based on
what his agent said was Philadelphia. Bobby Clarke was going to take him 23rd overall. That was why they wanted me up there.
That's
because he was going 23rd, and then they made the trade to get him. And
unreal.
And then if you watch the tape, because their next pick after Trevor, Bobby Clarke gets up there and he goes, "Who the hell are we picking?" Back to the manager, and he said, "Claude Giroux, that's what we're taking."
Oh,
so
wow.
it was Claude Giroux they ended up with.
Yeah.
Bobby Clarke was just pissed because he'd lost his first 2 picks.
Yeah, and Trevor's play at the time would have really fit with Philly too.
Yeah,
I
think he would have got a whole different, being more scorer.
Yeah.
Here they wanted him defense. Well, he was smart enough to realize how hard it is to score. And concentrated on his defensive play.
Yeah.
Right off. Right?
And he's just such a great PK. Like you just watch him, and Suter talked about it too. Well, let's talk about that a little bit before we. So after the draft, and he plays in the A, and things are going great, and he gets up to the NHL, and they're like, "You're not scoring goals like you were with Okposo on your side." That coach at the time was like, "We're going to healthy scratch you for a few games." We've had Trevor on the show. He was actually my first
Terry
guest.
Murray, yeah.
Yeah, so Terry Murray's like, he put him on the trade block, trying to get rid of him. And luckily, like, who knows what would have happened. And yeah, he could have had more goals or whatever if he would have gone to another. But
wouldn't have won 2 cups.
Yeah, wouldn't have won 2 cups. And the Kings fired Murray, bring in Suter. And Suter sees Sutter. Brings in Sutter.
Daryl, he didn't mean Suter.
So he brings in Sutter, and then they say, "Trevor Lewis is my kind of guy." And
he goes, "Why is this guy not playing?"
Yeah, why is this guy not playing? Yeah. And there's an interview where he talked about there were some changes he made that made sense to him. He said it in his way, his very blunt farmer, like, you guys are all dumb for not seeing it in the first place.
Yeah.
And he's like, easy changes I made on PK1. And that was like getting Trevor out of the stands on PK, starting quick every night, like things that made sense now. We didn't see it then, right? But now it makes sense. And you have this, I'm not going to call it even a fairy tale, but it's just an amazing story. Yeah, it just, things worked out. Doughty and all those guys, everything just clicked at once.
Yeah. They all came, they made that trade for Stoll and Green from Edmonton.
Yep.
And that just seemed to change everything. Jared Stoll was the glue guy, so was Greener. But every week, Stoll would get.
And they barely made the playoffs that year. I mean, that's what's crazy.
It was after they weren't going to make the playoffs until they never looked back.
Yeah.
I remember saying that if the Kings make it, I'd hate to be the first place team after playing because they're awfully good.
And it was the Sharks, right? Were the Sharks?
No, the year that was Vancouver.
Oh, it was Vancouver.
Number 1.
Okay. Oh, it was the Sharks. It was the Sharks they had to beat to get into the playoffs in the very last game, right?
Yeah.
It was crazy. I got to be there. I don't know if you remember, there were a couple times where I was still an equipment rep at the time, and there were a few times I would end up having to bring Trevor something from Salt Lake or what, like his passport. There was a couple times like that he forgot something. But I was at that Sharks game, and I was like, it was so cool, the atmosphere for them. I think it was at the Sharks, right?
Yeah.
And it was, I don't know, very cool, and you could just see it. The writing was on the wall that these guys were going to be legit. Yeah. And, man, what a cool thing.
Yeah,
so
fun.
I didn't really bring you on here to just tell the Trevor stories, but I do want to hit a couple more things. So, why not? It is phenomenal. What a cool story.
I don't have much about myself.
There's a ton about you. Like, you're such a staple here, and you've done so much. Whether you know it or not, you've done a lot for a lot of us in hockey, and me personally. This story is cool, and I brag about my kids all the time, and nonstop. And I'm like, hey, have I brought up my kids yet today? Because I need to make sure I get it out every day. And I'm sure, I can't imagine what it's like to have a 2-time Stanley Cup winner as a son, and want to brag about that all the time. But tell us about that game and getting on the ice when Trevor's getting the cup.
When the conference championship, when they won that, and you're like sitting there going, wow, he's actually got a chance to win the Stanley Cup. It's like you keep pinching yourself going, is this real? This kid from Salt Lake?
Yeah.
And me? Why me?
Yeah.
So Trevor ends up scoring 2 goals.
Yeah.
They had the 5-minute power play, and he got the third. It was 3-0 then, and you just knew you knew this was it. They're going to win the Stanley Cup. So it wasn't like the next time in 14 when it went to overtime.
Right.
That's like every time. I think the Rangers hit the post 3 times. We hit the post a couple of times. But that first year was just like, holy cow! You're just partying for 15 minutes. I was with Trevor's buddies, Gover and Testwheat. We were all just going nuts because we knew there. And then he got the second one that made it 5-0. Then to go down, hug him on the ice.
Yeah.
Hands me the cup. I got to lift the cup over my head at Staples Center. It is a dream.
Yeah. How unreal is that?
It's still a dream.
I can't believe it. And I'm sitting, I actually was at a fire station in, I think I was working at Eagle Mountain, and I'm watching Trevor win the cup. And I'm like, please don't go to commercial. Please don't go to commercial. Yeah. Let me see Trevor get the cup. And then they come back, and then I see you on the ice, and I see him hand you the cup. And I'm like, I'm fighting back tears in front of the rest of the fire guys. And I'm like, this is unbelievable. Like, I grew up with that guy. I've been around Trevor since he's 3 years old. Like, this, even to me, as a guy that just kind of knows you guys, it was so meaningful for me. I can't even fathom what it was like for you.
Yeah, it's still every day I go, wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You get to say he's 2-time cup winner?
That's crazy. What do you go see that? Do you have an imprint or something of his name on the cup? What do you get at that point? Pictures? You just get pictures?
I got lots of pictures.
Yeah. I've got a couple too. It's cool, man.
And every time I see it, I go down there and take a picture.
Yeah, need a new picture.
Yeah. So, but the one cool thing is when he got the cup party.
Yeah.
Was at my aunt's house.
Yeah, in Midville.
And we were down at I don't know. The cup guy had to take the cup back, and so I came back to my aunt's house with him. He was going to sleep for a couple hours and then go to the airport. And so I got the cup all to myself. There wasn't anybody else around.
No way.
And I'm sitting there for an hour with the Stanley Cup. I read every name, everything on it. I'm like,
wow. You know, I had no idea that happened. Yeah. That's so cool.
I got a whole hour with the Stanley Cup just to myself.
Wow. And not many people can say that except for the guy that travels with the cup all the time.
Yeah. Because there's always somebody around.
Yeah.
You get tired of doing the lifting part.
I felt bad. Because
you don't want to smash people's teeth out.
Right.
And it's heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy.
And then you don't want to drown them either.
I felt bad because, I was with Trevor like a lot during the day and drinking out of the cup. And then at your aunt's house, I've got amazing pictures of me and my wife and Tegan drinking out of the cup. And then later that night, we're at that bar. I can't remember what bar it was downtown.
It's a Complex.
Yeah, it was the Complex. Yeah. And so like me and the Mannix and the Brickleys are there. Everybody was there. And I'm just like, man, Trevor has got to be, his forearms have got to be burning. It's like he's holding that cup nonstop, just drink after drink after drink for everybody. Yeah. And what a cool experience. And I never, at 15, 16 years old, my first year as a hockey player, as a hockey fan, and seeing the Stanley Cup all those years, I never thought I'd even see it in my life. Never see it in person. That's just something in fairy tales. I'm never going to see a dragon, and I'm never going to see the Stanley Cup.
And now you drank out of it.
And then Trevor brings it to us. It's so amazing. And I've drank out of it a couple times.
Yeah.
Well, 3. I have another friend that won it once too, and I got to drink out of it with George Peros as well. Yeah. And it's just like unbelievable. Every time I'm just blown away by it. And the fact that it happened here in Salt Lake and that we drove it around in a fire engine for a while. And
that's right. We went down.
Yeah, he brought it to station 125 in Midville. We threw it in the back. We have a 1945 Mack fire engine that we've restored for the fire department. We drove it around in that Mack. Yeah. And that was so cool. And it was so nice of him to share it with everybody. Like, he just made sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the Volker party bus.
He brought bus and some vans and stuff and took us all around everywhere. It took us up to Snowbird.
Yeah.
We went on the tram up there.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah, we took it up to the top of the.
That's so cool. I didn't know that part. Yeah, Volker. I mean, he
did. He just donated all that.
He's such a good guy. Like Volker Ritzinger from Volker's Bakery.
Yeah.
And he had that. I don't know how he got away with it legally because there was he had the police car.
Police car with the sirens and the lights.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you a story.
Let's hear that.
We were taking the cup up to the University of Utah football game, and Channel 5 brought a helicopter. They're going to helicopter us into. So the cup took my spot. So I had to drive up, and Volker had his police car with the lights. And so we get on the freeway, and he's doing like 110 in the left lane. And anytime there's a car there, he'd turn the lights on and the siren, and they move over. I'm going, we're not going to make it to the
We're going to
game.
jail.
Yeah. And he did it all. We beat the helicopter up there.
No way. That's unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like Volker.
Yeah.
Such a good dude. And that it's crazy because even like later, I'd get that bus from him, and it still had the LA Kings banner in it and all that stuff. And remember,
I still got those banners.
Oh, nice, very cool. He still had a lot of it in that bus, and then he had remember he just tore out a bunch of it and like put a urinal in there that just basically he had a
just
bar.
drained out into the road.
Just a hose into the road. Yeah, maybe some less than legal things that happened that day, but so cool. All right, so a couple Stanley Cups later, what's your best memory of the Stanley Cup? Is it getting it on the ice? Is it taking it to the grave? Is it like what's the best bonding moment? Is it hard to pick one?
Yeah,
give me your top three.
Going to the grave was pretty special.
Yeah, that's unreal. I had no idea that happened. That's so cool.
Just the parties.
Yeah, all the parties.
Getting to share it with everybody. That's the fun part.
And that's the same Stanley Cup.
We went to the Maverick Center.
Yep.
And that line outside, why they made them stand out in that heat, I don't know.
I don't know either.
But they stayed, and it was unbelievable. We couldn't even finish it. And then Trevor took it around and let everybody that was standing out in line touch it, and then we had to get on the bus and go.
Yeah.
But the Capitol, just getting to share it with everybody.
Yeah. I told Trevor, I said, out of all the things you did, I would have skipped the Capitol because those people aren't behind us anyway. But now they are behind hockey. Yeah. And maybe that's why. And maybe
it's
Trevor.
It's just a cool place. The Capitol is
absolutely cool place. Yeah. I was always just bitter that they didn't jump behind hockey more. Yeah. And every time they're like, hey, we're giving out like the best athlete award.
Yeah,
I'm like,
he's never considered.
Yeah, where's Trevor's name on that thing? You know what? That's gonna be my next goal for him a little bit to make sure these guys realize that Trevor's a Salt Lake born athlete that's done a lot. He should be one of our top athletes and recognized by legislation.
Should be.
Yeah, I agree. We're gonna make that happen. All right, so I cannot believe you got an hour alone with a cup. Because that's the cup. That's Wayne Gretzky's cup. That's
like
Sidney Crosby's cup.
Think about how old you were, your first memory, the first thing you can remember. My first memory is in Canada on a black and white TV, watching Hockey Night in Canada. And that's when I became hooked, since I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
And I've been hooked ever since. And all those years of watching, I always watch the celebration, no matter who wins, if you're warm or not, just how special it is. And then to get to experience.
Did you ever really think it would happen to you?
No. I still don't.
So crazy. It's so crazy.
He has to win another one this year so I can remember what it's like.
Yeah, I'm all for that. And they are pretty good. Tell me about when he signed with Calgary. You're a lifetime Flames fan, right? Until recently, like
born in Calgary, so I've been Flames fan, and then first he went to Winnipeg during COVID.
Yeah.
That was horrible.
Horrible. For his family, too. Nobody knows that part.
Everybody's locked down, He's got 2 kids 4-year-olds locked down and can't go anywhere. Yeah. 95 below every day. So that was a bad experience. Great team. They had a great team. I thought they...
Yeah, I actually did, too.
Sweep the Oilers and then swept. And then the next year he went to Calgary. Well, Daryl Sutter called him.
Yeah.
Said, Louis, I'm in need of a good veteran right winger. You interested?
Of course he's interested, yeah.
Signed and went there for 2 years until Daryl got.
Right.
I don't know what to say about that one.
Yeah, I don't either.
But anyway.
It's not working out for them anyway.
No, and then last summer, he calls me and he goes, I'm going back to L.A. I'm going back to L.A. He said, and he didn't even have to offer me anything. I'd have gone back. And his wife was crying.
Yeah.
They just, because it's so much better.
What he told me when I had him on the show right after that, and I was like, so tell me how that went. Like, what did they offer you? How did it go? And he said, they called me, or he said, my agent called me and said, LA might want you back. Would you be interested? And he's like, let me ask my wife. And he said, like, she started crying right away. And he's like, yeah, we'd want in. And then he's like, oh, whatever they're going to pay me. Like, he didn't even think about that part. He's like, I'm in. Like, whatever it is, I'm in. And I had Robitaille on the show, and we were talking about Trevor, and he's like, Trevor's a king for life. Yeah. Like, that's what they said. When he's done playing, we want him back. Like, the numbers didn't work that year to keep him there, but we want him back. We want him in the office. We want him around. He's a king for life. Yeah. And I was just like, I was moved by that. That's a cool statement. Like, that's a huge thing for Luc Robitaille to say. Yeah.
It shows how much he means to the whole organization.
Yeah. Unsung hero over and over and over again.
He knows the game so well, and he's got so much he could share. I want him to be a coach. He doesn't want to be a coach.
That's so weird.
Because, it's 24/7. If you're a coach, you're...
Yeah. Well, it's funny. There's some other stuff going on around Salt Lake, and we'll get to that part too. And talking about coaches that you want to talk to, or being a coach, they're like, yeah, you coach during the season, but a lot of your biggest coaching happens right after the season, right up to the draft, and during all the rookie tournaments. That's when coaches really earn their money. Yeah. They're grinding, they're putting things together, they're putting their system together, they're figuring out what player goes where, and that's like, you're right, it's nonstop. You don't get the offs. You get 1 month. Yeah. 1 month to kind of recoup, and then you got to get right back at it. But the other part, when Trevor was telling me, he's like, we rented out our house. He's like, I won't even be able to go back to my own house. So did they ever get back into his own house? No, they're still not in it.
Renting Colin Peterson's house.
Oh, wow.
Still making money on it.
Yeah, of course. Good for him. So he can buy more shoes, right? For those who don't, Trevor has a shoe problem.
Yeah, big shoe problem. Let's see, he's 37. I think he's bought a new pair of shoes once a week for 37 years.
Good Lord, I'm not going to do the math on that one. What do you think about the talk now? You're the dad of an NHL player. You've been to tons of NHL games. You've been to tons of arenas. You've been here for a long time. You've been a Golden Eagles fan. And now all of a sudden they're saying, hey, NHL is probably going to come to Salt Lake. What are your thoughts?
Didn't think it would happen.
Yeah.
And then I looked into Ryan Smith.
Yeah.
It's already, as far as I'm concerned, it's already here.
Yeah.
Might as well start putting stuff together, right?
Yeah.
Because he's very determined, and
the backing, the vision.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, legislation says, "Hey, we're going to give you $1 billion to help you with this project." Yeah. Yeah.
He knows what it takes. He knows how to get things done.
Yeah. Do you think Salt Lake can support it? That's the big thing. Everybody's like, "Oh, the Grizzlies only get like 4,000 people a game." What's your?
Well, the Grizzlies are East Coast hockey. This is NHL hockey. So I think they'll do fine. Yeah. I think there's plenty of people here. Too many people.
Yeah, but there are too many people here.
But it's I think it'll do fine. I think it'll do great, and it's logistically it's perfect spot.
Yeah.
For all the California teams and the Western Canadian teams, Denver, they're all right there. So, in Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, here's the big question. You grew up a Calgary Flames fan. You have an amazing connection with the LA Kings. Now, eventually there's going to be a Salt Lake NHL team, hopefully. Are you going to be a Salt Lake fan?
Yes.
Are you
definitely. I can cheer for the other teams in the background, but I'll be a diehard Salt Lake fan.
Yeah, me too. I It's funny because, Trevor's a good friend of mine, and I have equal parts LA Kings and Vegas Golden Knights gear. Like every shirt in my closet is one of those two shirts. And it seems like every time I run into Trevor somewhere, I'm wearing the wrong one. He doesn't care. He's never once brought it up. But I'm like, how is this going to be for Randy if he's going to be? Did you? Well, I see you all the time, and even when Trevor was with the Flames, I didn't see you like you were in King stuff still nonstop. And I thought maybe you'd jump ship.
I had lots of King stuff. In fact, it's pretty much 90% of my wardrobe is King shirts. What I have on now. You went to Calgary. I bought a couple of Calgary things.
Yeah, so did I actually. I have Winnipeg stuff too for the same reason.
And I never did get anything from Winnipeg, but I got some Calgary stuff and started wearing that. And then he went back to LA, and I can break out all my old T-shirts.
Yeah, nice. One of the things I didn't want to glaze over this is you're a men's leaguer. You play forever with Matt Brickley.
Yeah.
How cool was that when Daniel gets drafted by the Kings?
That was.
And you guys get to go to some Kings games together.
That was pretty nuts. There was some pretty good recruiting. We were on a father's trip, and Luke Robitaille sat down with me. He goes, "So how well do you know Daniel Brickley?" I said, "Only since he was born." Yeah,
no kidding.
And so we talked about him and get him here. Yeah, that'd be great. So he went to L.A. and then Matt had the colon cancer at the time.
Yeah.
And the Kings were in the middle of a playoff chase battle trying to make the playoffs. So it wasn't much of a chance he was going to play a lot, being a rookie. And they were kind enough to let him play a couple of games. And I was there, me and Matt and Allison.
Yeah.
What's happening in this hockey world?
Not only is my son doing it, but my best friend's son.
My best friend, the guy I grew up playing hockey with, his son's now playing on the same team. Unbelievable. We sat in a suite and we had some pictures taken.
I remember a lot of those pictures. I was just living the dream with you guys.
Had the interview with
so cool.
Me and Matt did everything.
Yeah.
We played hockey together for 30 years. Now our kids are playing.
I'm so glad Matt got to experience that.
Yeah, it was.
He had done so much.
And then Luke Robitaille had us over for dinner, me and Matt and Allison. So that was really nice.
He's a quality guy, Robitaille.
It's the reason he's president.
Yeah. It's cool. And for those that don't know, like Daniel had an amazing college career. Yeah. And we talk about when Trevor had his pick of whatever school he wanted to go to. I think Daniel basically had his pick at any NHL club. There were
I would say a free agent.
So he was a free undrafted, killed it in college, and every team was like, "Come our way."
I think the Red Wings were his other.
Yeah, that seems. I thought it would. I almost thought for sure. I'm glad I didn't have this show back then because I would have said, if I was a betting man, I would have put money on the Bruins.
Yeah.
Because his uncle's there doing play. Yeah.
Color guy, and that would have been a perfect spot.
Yeah, I thought for sure that's where he'd end up. But I think you and all the influence, the fact that the Kings were a much better team at the time, I think that was the influence. Daniel's been on this show a bunch too, and that's been a lot of fun. It was fun watching him grow up, and he came to my camp since he's a little kid. And
I know.
It's been fun.
So fun to watch.
That was actually one of the pictures they used when Daniel signed. It was Trevor and Daniel at one of my camps.
Yeah.
And so I brought all these pictures. I made pictures of Jordan Parisi and Trevor. It's funny because Trevor's first AHL goal was on Jordan Parisi.
Yeah, it was, and I got a picture of that.
It
was a lousy picture, paper one, but I got a picture.
I printed all those up, and I had them at our camp, and that's the one. That's one of the ones that Trevor signed and said, "See you in the NHL." Yeah, it turned out to be true.
I know.
Phenomenal. So crazy.
It's weird how the smallest hockey world is.
Yeah. All right, so you're gonna be on board with being a let's call them the Utah Yetis. What do you think of that name? The Yetis.
For the NHL team?
For the NHL team.
I don't like that.
What do you think if you were gonna name the team, thinking about all the names that have been thrown around?
I haven't even thought about that.
Okay.
How about the Salt Lake Coyotes?
Well, that's definitely been one of the top mentioned names. And it's funny. You know what I thought would have been a perfect name, but maybe is too, not blasphemous, but I thought the Salt Lake Fighting Saints, and tie that in with the Latter-day Saints.
Latter-day Saints.
And then the NHL history with Fighting Saints.
Wow.
I thought that would be perfect.
That's not a bad name.
But
there's like St. Paul.
Yeah, St. Paul Fighting Saints. I love the jerseys, but I think maybe they'd
have to be a little.
It's probably I don't know. But yeah, those are the names. Well, the Saints name. I think I'm the only one bringing that up. But the other names that have come up, it's been like the Storm, the Swarm, the Bees, not the Bees, something like that. The Stingers. I don't know. We're just guessing because we don't even know. Like,
Avalanche is gone. I'm trying to think of some
ski
ski
things. That's the terrible thing. Well, okay, so tie it into ski things, and this is my men's league team name, which is named. I stole the name from when I was talking to the Vancouver Canucks. They were doing the same thing. They wanted to put an AHL team here, and they're like, every team, it should have been. Every team name we think of is like controversial in some way. Like it can't be anything you come up with, somebody's against. Yeah. And they're like, so what's a skiing name? And I started thinking about it. I'm like, when you talk about skiers all the time, you think about powder hounds because they call them powder hounds. So I had a jersey designed, and that's my men's league team. We're the Powder Hounds. And I'm like, that's a perfect Utah. It ties you in. That's what skiers are. Yeah. And it's a cool mascot because it's a big freaking St. Bernard or a Bernese Mountain Dog. You'd have to take the thing.
There's a good thought.
I thought, but we'll see. We'll see.
Smith.
Yeah, there you go. Ryan Smith, who never listens to this, I'm sure. So what's next? Would you want Trevor to be a coach for that team?
Yes, definitely. Involved some way.
Yeah. But that would mean...
I'm all for him being a coach because he's got so much knowledge.
But he's a king for life. So does that mean he's an Ontario coach first? But he doesn't want to coach.
He's going to be a development guy.
Yeah.
That's what he's going to start as.
So, okay.
And got a lot to offer there because he's always in the top one or two condition guys at every training camp.
I went with him one day. I was telling my wife about this. I went with him one time to train, and like we skated, and then he went and he was doing those the 100-yard run things he was doing, and I was like, at some point to me it became almost superhuman. Like it was like
I've seen videos.
I can't do it. Like
I've seen videos of him doing stuff. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, it's so much.
It's amazing. I only thought super athletes did this. Well, wait, he is an athlete.
In fact, he is a super athlete. Look at this. He's a guy that's got, 16 years? How many?
Yeah, 16 years.
16 years in the NHL, almost 1,000 games. Yeah. Now, not giving anything away, do you think he gets another contract for next year to hit that 1,000? Or do you think he's a development guy next year?
He's pretty much proved himself. Should get another contract.
I agree.
Does more for that team than guys making 3 times his money.
True.
He might be the best deal in the National Hockey League as far as salary for what they get for the salary they pay him.
Yeah.
He's definitely worth signing.
Yeah, at least one more year.
Yeah, at least one.
I'd love
he's
to
not
see
slowing
him hit
down.
1,000 games.
He's not slowing down.
1,000 games. 1,000 games in the NHL.
Awesome.
I was just hoping he was going to crack the roster.
That's right. It's just after the first one, I'm like, well, they can't take it. He's played in the NHL. They can't take that away. And he's still playing. Yeah. And I get to see how beat up he gets.
Yeah.
All the injuries he plays through and stuff. And it's just like, oh my God, how do you do that?
Yeah.
I mean, just injury after injury. Like, I was just down there last week. He comes home from practice. So I think I broke my nose. We were doing a battle drill in practice, and he got an elbow in the nose. Doesn't slow him down. He's played with a contusion on his lung, neck problems.
Yeah,
plays through that, bulging disc in his neck.
As he gets older, and he's a dad,
and he has to go home and battle with this
5-year-old. You were telling stories about how his twins were banging you around a little bit, and you're coming home with almost black eyes from now. He's got to go do that, but as his dad, and you see him as a dad, you start going like, hey, maybe you've taken enough beatings. Or do you just grind it out while you can?
I would be lost if he didn't play.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what to do. No, I think he can.
Good. Oh, man, we have so much fun watching him do it, too. How many games a year do you make it to?
3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And then playoffs. That was the fun part about
racking up some miles.
Well, the team paid for that.
Oh, so. Wow. I had no idea.
Well, they just chartered wives and parents.
The family. Wow. That's cool. I never think about that part.
Yeah, so that was fun.
Yeah. Very cool.
I always wanted to see a hockey game in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
And I got to see a Stanley Cup playoff game.
Jeez. Didn't they win it there? Wasn't that where the OT
no,
they won it
in L.A.
Both times?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'd remember that. But unreal.
Got this atmosphere. I had the Kings uniform on, so I was getting stuff thrown at me.
Oh, nice. You can't do that anymore. I guess California is the more dangerous place. I guess it's baseball. Hockey players only push it so far. So what's next for you? How are things going with you?
You just got a new hip.
New hip.
Get that ready and then had eye surgery.
Yeah.
I want to start playing hockey again, but pretty hard when you can't see.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say about that. You've just always been on the ice since.
Oh, I miss it so much.
Yeah, I can't even
about
imagine.
a year since I skated. So.
Yeah. Do you think I can go? What about hitting stick and puck and then just seeing or?
It's just Sundays. Our Sunday skate.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch.
Just to hang out with
old guys.
Yeah.
Just skate around, but I can't see anybody on the sides.
Oh man.
It's a glaucoma.
Right.
So you can be the puck, think you're all alone, and all of a sudden somebody's right there. And, it's no fun.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, that was the cool thing. Is a couple weeks ago you came out and then you skated for a bit, and then you got off, and you're still. I
just did the warm up.
Yeah, I think it's important to be around the guys, and I think it's awesome to see you, and everybody's so grateful that you're there, and it's the same with everybody. Hey, it doesn't matter who it is. It's part of the team. It's part of our family, our extended family, and we hate to see anybody not there every Sunday. Yeah,
that's the whole thing. It's a family.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that keeps coming up in this podcast is, my producer. Both producers I've had on the show are fairly new to hockey, and they're like, man, it's crazy to see how much you guys just adore each other and look out for each other and
just like each other.
Yeah, and like each other. That really is. And with it, they do football and basketball podcasts and stuff, and you just don't see it the same. Hockey is like a tight knit family. Yeah.
Well, I've always said the guy you hate the most on the other team, if he starts playing with you, you'll be best friends.
Yeah, that's the guy you want on your team.
The same compete level.
Yeah.
Right? Manic brothers.
Oh yeah.
We competed pretty heavily against each other.
Yeah.
Didn't like each other. And then they started skating with us. Best friends.
Yeah.
They're the best people in the world.
Yeah, I love the Manics.
Yeah.
Brandon's actually, he's been one of my best friends. He was in my line. His wife and my wife were the best friends. And it was I hated him until we played together.
You met him.
Yeah, till we played together.
Now you're best friends.
Now we're best friends. I've been best friends with him since 1993. And he's been one of my best friends. And I was showing you around my house here, and it's like the Manics did this, and the Manics did that, and the rest is all firefighters. It's like it's a unique family.
And they did a great job.
Yeah. I'm lucky. Everything works.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about any of it. So what would you say now? If you had the opportunity, this is actually an opportunity to tell a bunch of young hockey players just getting into hockey, or young hockey parents that kids are just getting into hockey. You've been through it, man. You've been a player, and you played semi-pro, and you've been men's league here forever, and then you've had the once in a lifetime, 1 in a billion chance to see your son play almost 1,000 games in the NHL. What would your advice be to somebody that's just getting into hockey?
Just love the game.
Love the game.
Don't take it too serious. Love it. Let it take you as far as it can. You're going to get to see the world. A lot of these people, like Daniel Brickley, he's over in Europe now.
Yeah.
I've never been over there.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He gets paid to do it, so just let it take you where it goes.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can get a college scholarship. One thing I know is you'll play it the rest of your life.
That's what I've always said. It's addictive once you play.
Yeah.
Enjoy the ride.
Yeah, enjoy the ride. That's that's the best advice. Work hard. It shouldn't be work if you love the game.
Right.
So that's the whole part. I knew Trevor loved it right.
All that work he does off ice isn't because of any other reason except for wanting to be better on the ice and loving what you do on the ice.
Plus he enjoys working out.
Yeah.
He's addicted to it.
He's insane. JP Parisi, we were talking about coaches. JP Parisi told me a thing. He's like, "Oh yeah, work hard. Just if you work hard now and you score more goals, more people like you. You make more money, more people like you. Yeah. He's like, it gets better and better."
That's right.
Yeah.
Until you quit scoring. And then everybody hates you.
Until you hit that dry spell. I was looking at one of the guys, who was it? It showed it on TSN this morning. It's like 102 game goal drought. That's for a forward. I was like, oh, that is rough.
Well, back in January when Columbus played the Kings.
Yeah.
Johnny Gaudreau,
who
makes, $7-8 million a year?
Yeah.
Had 7 goals, and Trevor had 7 goals. There's the value in that.
And one of them was expected to score. One of them was expected to kill penalties.
30 goals by now.
Yeah, exactly.
The other one's right where he should be.
Exactly. All right, Randy. Well, man, I cannot thank you enough for coming on the show. And again,
If you need a guest host anytime.
I'm always down.
It's fun. I love talking hockey.
Yeah.
Nothing better.
Can you believe they let me do this?
I know.
This is like my side hustle now.
Me and Mike Mandrick have always talked about starting something up.
You know what? I need to get Mike over here too.
Yeah.
And just a few more of your team. Get the old not Green Parrot. What are you guys called?
Well, the Chiefs.
You're the Chiefs though.
Dead Goat.
Dead Goat Saloon.
Dead Goat. Chiefs and I don't know what it is.
I think there should be a rule that every men's league team should have to be sponsored by a bar. So,
exactly.
Yeah. But I think it'd be super entertaining to get all of us together. We should just go down to Legends and then just let the talking go. Because like you were talking before, you want to sit down with Kevin McClellan. You want to hear stories about the NHL. I had the incredible opportunity to sit down with JP Parisi and listen to stories about those, what was that series between Canada and Russia in the 80s?
Yeah. Summit?
Yeah, the Summit series. And he's out there, that was rough. Talk about bench clearing, old school rough
that
hockey.
Was old school.
And to sit down with JP, who was such a main contributor back then, and just listen to him tell stories about it. And it was just such a cool opportunity. And again, like you're saying, you're in the hotel with all those NHL people, and now you're around them all the time. You're going golfing with all these NHLers all the time.
Really good friends with Drew Doughty, Milan Lucic, Anzi Kopitar.
And
I'm good friends with them.
It's crazy to have those opportunities.
And my favorite thing is to go over to Trevor lived with Drew for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I've got some videos of that. Yeah,
and go home and just talk about hockey for 3 hours before you go to bed.
Yeah. And it's funny because Doughty, for as entertaining as he is to be around and as funny as he is, his hockey IQ is off the charts. Like that guy's thinking circles around people on the ice.
You just watch him. He's like outthinks everybody.
Yeah. Unreal. And those guys always make me feel so dumb because I think I know a lot about hockey. And then you sit down with somebody and they're like, Cliff Roning's a perfect example. Cliff was like, in warm-ups, he's telling me, that guy's not going to be able to do the shot today. He switched the toe on his stick. Why is he going with a different toe? He's not going to, like, his favorite shot is to come off the boards and do this. And I'm like, what are you even talking? How do you see that? The guy's just skating circles. And sure enough, like, he tried to pull his main move and the puck slid off his stick. Cliff's like, yeah, like, that's his main move. That's why he usually has that closed toe. I don't know why he's worried about shooting over the net, so he changed his toe. And I'm like, man, the stuff some people see, and I just see hockey. Like, it just makes me feel dumb, basically. Yeah. But anyway, Randy, I can't, again, I was going to tell you, like, you and Matt Brickley, I'm forgetting some names, but you
Frank Canfield, did you know him?
Oh, yeah, I knew Frank. Oh, so entertaining. Good dude.
Guy Holmes.
Yep. Guy's good. He's, there's a lot of people that still really keep the history alive online.
He does the Sully Golden Eagles
Yeah, I need to have him on the show because that guy knows a ton of history.
Yeah. Well, he was a trainer back in New Jersey.
Yep.
Stole the Stanley Cup one year.
No way.
Get him to tell that story.
That's it. We're calling him. We're going to book him on the show. You can come guest host that episode.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right.
It'd be a lot of fun.
But it's just like you guys have done so much for so many people here, all of you guys. Whether you were just going out to play hockey or not, the fact that you were supportive, and there were times like, I don't know if you remember, there was times like I was leaving sticks at your house so that other people could just pick them up, or you were using them or whatever. And that was back when sticks were only $30. But you just had like a support system, and yeah, people could go over to your house and have drinks after, but you also had like, hey, some people are going to stop and they're just going to grab sticks in my front yard so they can use them, but they couldn't afford them or whatever. So you guys, even just little things like that, just being able to keep people in the game. You guys were huge in making hockey what it is now, which is about to be an NHL town.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I can't wait.
I can't wait.
I know
either.
It's happening.
I like your confidence.
I hope I'm still alive when it arrives.
Well, I think it's going to be, I definitely think you're going to be around because I think it's happening pretty soon.
Yeah, I hope so.
Well, I've been reaching out.
Yeah.
So, for over a year now, I've been reaching out, but I think we're going to make some progress and maybe get that guy on the show and let him answer all the questions about what might be happening.
How fun. That'll be a big show.
That would be a big show. My biggest.
Yeah.
All right, Randy. I appreciate your time. And is there anything else you want to say before we go?
Jay, I appreciate what you do for hockey in the state. Thank you.
Thank you. I love it. I learned it from you guys.
Yeah.
I learned it from watching you, Dad.
You done well.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
And that is the Utah Puck Report. Hey, if you like what you heard today on the Utah Puck Report, make sure you review and rate it wherever you get your podcasts. Also, follow us on Instagram and on Facebook. Get involved with everything we're talking about. You can find everything on KSLSports.com, all of our previous episodes. I want to thank KSL Sports for letting us talk about hockey. I want to thank my producer and my boss, Madison Heekhouse, for supplying us with the rooms and taking care of everything hockey-wise. And just help us build hockey. Follow us, like us, and let's make this thing go. And that is the Utah Puck Report.